First narratives, oral tradition, storytelling, they have a way of showing us things. They have a way of teaching us things that we might be wondering about. They have a way of finding us in times that we really need it. They have a way of helping us be curious, of helping us understand something, of helping us remember the truth, of helping us imagine. First narratives, oral tradition, parables, storytelling. It's been around for a long time. It's been around before hospitals. It's been around before prisons. It's been around before many of the luxuries we have today. It's been around before substance use disorder treatment centers. It's been around before all the social service provider places. It's been around prior to all these things. You see, when we suffer a trauma or when we suffer something that made us sad or mad, and there's witnesses, and there's an elder or elders, or there's a community, or there's a support network, and then we can reconcile that event or that experience or that moment of sadness, of grief, of loss, of despair, then it turns into wanting to provide a service. When we are able to recover our true selves, something happens. We want to talk about it. We want to share our story. We want to share that narrative. We want others to find themselves too. When we're in the middle of trying to cope with life, when we're in the middle of self-medicating, when we're busy kind of hurting ourselves in that way, it's like being in two places at once, and you're not really being true to either place, because you have to do the thing that others complain about as you're telling yourself it's working, as you're tricking yourself into finding ways to do it. This can be sex, drugs, alcohol, pills, gambling. It can be many things, right? You can self-medicate with many things. Too much of something is dangerous, regardless of what it is. And if you say moderation, you're rationalizing your habit. If you say things in moderation, it's just another way to rationalize and justify. And so I get it. I get it. And the stories, they have a way of helping us unveil the truth, of helping us recover, or they give us examples of beings recovering themselves. And so this next story has entrapment, has being trapped, because when we're self-medicating, that's what it feels like. It feels like you're trapped and you can't get out, and no one will help you, or no one can help you, or they're not doing it right, and it's makes you angry, makes you sad, makes you feel ashamed. This story has some transformation. This story is from the jungles of South America. This story is from the first peoples down there. This story is from a long time ago. This story is about the frog. You see, this frog wanted things so badly. This frog worked so hard at making his dreams come true. This frog just finished his house. It was in the best tree. The rainforest was so beautiful. This frog was so proud. He worked so hard. He just finished it. He just finished it and he left. He went to go tell his friends, my house is done. My house is done. You have to come see it. It's amazing. I worked so hard. His friends were following him back to his new house. His friends were excited to see his new house, and they were wanting to see it. They were wanting to support Frog in his new house that he worked so hard to build. He gets to his new house and he climbs up the tree and he's just hopping right towards it. And he heard a voice coming from the house, and this voice was coming from inside his house. Frog lived alone. He built his house alone. There was to be nobody there. Frog heard, "Get out of here, I'll eat you alive." And Frog was a little bit discouraged, wondering what the heck is going on? Who is that voice? And that felt scary. Frog was afraid. Frog looked at his friends and he was embarrassed. He didn't know what to do. So he asked his friends to help him out. "Hey, help me get this, whatever it is, out of my house. I don't want to be eaten. I worked too hard to build my house. I need to live here. I want a family." His friends went up to his house and he said the same thing. That voice, that big scary voice, was getting louder and bigger and louder. And it would tell them the same thing. "Get out of here, I'll eat you alive." They didn't know what to do. Friend after friend would come to his house and they would all be threatened. Their lives were in danger. Frog was homeless and he didn't get to live in his house that he just built, that he just finished, that he was so proud of. He didn't get to do any of that. Along the rainforest floor, Frog would sleep, wondering who is in my house. What am I supposed to do? Super discouraged. Along the forest floor, until he was done. He was so done. He thought, I can't live like this. If I get eaten, so be it. He told his friends, I'm going to my house and I might die. I might be eaten. But I can't live like this. I need to see who's in my house. Up he went. Up he went, shaking, trembling in fear. Up he went, wondering who was it? Who could have snuck into his house? Who was going to eat him? Who would be the last face he saw? What was the last thing he did that he was happy about? All these things he wondered. That he never got to have a family. He never got to have a person. All these things he grieved for, trembling, shaking to his new house. He heard that voice again. Get out of here, I'll eat you alive. In he goes. In the door of his house he went. Shaking, trembling in fear. He was expecting something like a big mouth over him to have eaten him by now. He didn't see anything. He was really shocked and surprised and wondering, what is going on? What is going on here? He said, who are you? Show yourself. Now Frog was very, very worried. He didn't even see anything. He couldn't hear breathing. He couldn't, there was no sign of another life in his house. Out of the corner of his house, from its web dropped a spider. The spider crawled towards Frog, saying, "Get out of here, I'll eat you alive." Frog watched the spider yelling at him, threatening him. Frog, "Spider, this is my house. You have to leave. I built this house." Spider left. The spider left and Frog had his house once again. Frog invited his friends and they got to come see his new house. And so a simple story of the frog in his new house can hopefully remind you that you're the only one that can get whatever you need to get out of your house. You're the only one that can face your fear. You're the only one that can speak in your truth. Frog needed to be home. Frog had dreams and aspirations. He worked so hard, trembling in fear. He confronted that being, that threatening, evil being that stole from him, that stole time, that stole space, that stole his energy, that his friends tried to help him with. You see, our friends and family are amazing, reliable. Sometimes we can't rely on family or friends. Sometimes it's just kind of mixed up. We adopt friends as family. That's usually the Indian way. And still, no one else can do certain things for you. No one else can create your own space for you and keep it in a good way. No one else can truly stop you from self-medicating. No one else can truly stop you from being afraid. No one else can force your feet to march towards confrontation of that thing that takes up your space, that takes up your time, that thing that people are complaining about. No one else can do that. You can. You get to say when and where and how. You get to decide enough with living like this. You get to decide when to change. You get to remember when to employ your truth. You get to decide that.